Right, hello, welcome to Pre-Maths Lessons. Today we're going to be looking at AQA exam boards, GCSE Mathematics and June 2023 paper 1 for higher tier, okay? And again, like you said, it's June 2023, but these are practice paper for this exams, okay? These are released by AQA exam boards and they're saying this is what the exam's going to be like. They are making some changes, not major changes, but they are looking to make some small changes, and that's what you'll get to see in this paper. And that's why it's for June 2023. If you haven't done this paper, please have a go at the paper first before you actually go through this video walkthrough, okay? Before you go through this, make sure you have a go at the paper. All you can do is sit there with a piece of paper or a book and run through the solution yourself before you see how I answer the question and how I attempt those questions. Okay, and let's get started. Oh, I like this animation, that's the reason I kept it in here. Just says the same thing. Question 1, we're looking at to multiply out. So multiply out means you have to multiply out. Okay, so we multiply this x with the x, that gives you x squared, and you multiply the x with that 3, and that 3 is positive, so we get positive 3x. Okay, and that's about it. There's nothing more to it than that. Okay. Next one, you're writing number in the standard form. So if you're writing number in the standard form, then it always has to be in that form: a multiplied by 10 to the power n. N can be any number, positive, negative, 0. It can be any number. Okay, and then a has to be between 10. So it has to be strictly less than 10 and bigger than or equal to 1. So it can be 1, but it doesn't have to. It can be 1, but it can't be 10. So it has to be between 1 and 10. So here we got 61.6. That's not between 1 and 10. That's the reason we've been asked to do these questions. So write here in standard form. So how do I write 61.6 between 1 and 10? So if I write here as a 6.16 and multiply by 10, so 6.16 times 10, that will give you 61.6. But that's just 61.6, and then we're multiplying that by 10 to the power 3. So if you multiply the 10 by 10 to the power 3, this is what we would get. 10 multiplied by 10 multiplied by 10, that's 10 to the power 3, and we're multiplying it with 10. So this is what we get, 10 multiplied by itself 4 times. So we get our answer as a 6.16 multiplied by 10 to the power 4. That's it. There's nothing more to it than that. Okay, and move on to the next part. Okay, question 3. (0.04) as a fraction of 0.8 in its simplest form. So 1 mark question, so it shouldn't be a difficult question. Okay, so we need to write this as a fraction of that, and that's what we're going to be looking to do. Okay, we're going to write it down: 0.04 over 0.8. And we need to simplify. Obviously, this is already in decimal places, so we can't simplify it. So what we're going to do is multiply top by 100 to make it into 4. So once you have a whole number, you can find it easier to simplify. And if you multiply numerator by 100, I need to multiply denominator by 100 as well. Okay, so 0.8 times 100, that gives you 80. And that's easy to simplify. Okay, you can say it's going to be 2 out of 40, and that would be same as 1 out of 20. Okay, and that's the simplest form. That's it. 0.04 as a fraction of 0.8 is 1 out of 20. Okay, 1 over 20. The next question is saying base of a pyramid has n sides. So it could be 4 side, n equal to 4, let's say. Okay, write down an expression in n for the number of faces the pyramid have. So that base, and then if you've got 4 sides, you'll have 4 of these triangles. And that means you got 4 more faces. So if you got n sides, that will have n faces plus the base, so you will have n plus 1 faces. Okay. Question 5. Okay, we need to construct, we need a ruler and the compasses. Okay, so and to do that we need to do it on a piece of paper, so I'm going to add that separately. Okay, control. Right, so we found the ruler and the pair of compasses, so we're going to use that. Okay, so this is your ruler, standard ruler, and that's a pair of compasses. Okay, so to construct the perpendicular bisector, what we first need to do is open the compass so it's more than halfway line. Okay, so this is your point A and that's the point B here. Okay, so we're gonna draw an arc more than halfway line. You can open it so it's all the way matching to A and B, but I'm gonna do saying that's somewhere halfway line. I'm sorry, you're struggling to see that part. That's a halfway line. Okay, and then we're trying to do more than halfway line, which is there. Okay, so more than halfway line, and then place that sharp end at the B. Okay, and then place the sharp end on the B, and then draw arc above the line like this and below the line like this. Okay, and then you keep the compass size same and do the same thing from the A. So I've not touched the compass in any way, I'm just doing it same thing from the A. We will create the crossing points. So that's what we needed to do. Open the compass so it's more than halfway line and draw arc above the line from the A and the B. So above the line and below the line. Okay, from the both points, and it will create these crossing points, and then all you have to do is grab a ruler and draw a straight line through those two crossing points. And what it will do, it would have cut this line here, AB, at 90-degree angle. So what we got is a bisected it. That means this length here from the center to A would be exactly the same as that point to the B. Okay, so we cut the AB exactly into two halves at 90-degree angle. That's why it's called perpendicular, because the perpendicular means 90-degree, and the bisector means you're cutting it into two halves, cutting into two sectors. Okay. Right, and then the last questions on here, I'm going to do it on the piece of paper because it's got the diagrams as well, and hopefully that'll make more sense as well. So we got Sarah has circular piece of cards and with the diameter 10 centimeter, and she wants to cut the rectangle whose sides are length of 8 centimeter and the 6 centimeter. Use the Pythagoras theorem to show that she can cut the rectangle from the circular card. Okay, that's what we're looking for here. In question 6, two identical circles just fit inside a rectangle as shown. And we've been given the length of the rectangle. So what we need to work out is area of the shaded part. Okay, so we need to work out the area of the circles and then the area of the rectangle. And once you work out those, we need to take those away. And again, we need to leave our answer in terms of pi. So don't miss the last part of the question out. That could cost you 1 mark. Okay, so let's work out the height of the rectangle. How do we work out the height of the rectangle? And the height of the rectangle would be same as this, which is the diameter of the circle. So two circles makes 12. Two diameter of the circles makes 12. So diameter of the circle here is going to be 6 centimeter. So that diameter there is 6 centimeter. So once you work out the height of the rectangle, that will get you 1 mark, and that will help you work out the area of the rectangle. So the area of rectangle going to be 12 times 6, which is 72 centimeters square. So we need to take away now the area of the circles from that 72 centimeters squares. Okay. So to do that, we need to work out the area of the circle. And the area of the circle is pi times the radius square. So if the diameter is 6, then the radius is going to be 3. So we substitute radius equal to 3. So pi times 3 squared, that gives you 9 pi. Okay. So the area of one circle is 9 pi. So the area of the two circles, okay, is going to be 18 pi. Area of the two circles, okay, is going to be 18 pi. So if you want to work out now area of the shaded parts, we need to do 72 take away 18 pi. And we've been asked to leave our answer in terms of pi. So we're doing 72 take away 18 pi. And that's the 4 mark questions done. I can long it out, but this is it. Okay. Go through the next part. The brass is made by mixing 7 parts of copper. So 7 for the copper. And 3 parts of the zinc. So 3 for the zinc. So that gives you 10 kilogram or 10 parts of the brass. The brass would be 10 then. Okay. Fred has 35 kilogram of copper and 12 kilogram of zinc. What is the greatest amount of the brass he can make? So we need to be using the same ratio. Okay. So we're going to find out how many times I can use 7 with 35 and how many times I can use 3 from the 12 kg. Okay, so that's how many times I can make it. You can make it about 4.2 times, 4.5 times, or 6 times, or 7 times, whatever it is, as long as you use that ratio. Okay, so if I do 35 divide by 7, it's 5. So I can actually use 5 lots of 7s. So I can repeat this process 7 kilogram and then 3 kilogram, 7 kilogram and 3 kilogram for 5 times. And for the zinc, I can do 12 divided by 3 and that'll give me 4. So I can only repeat the process for zinc 4 times. So obviously I can't do it 5 times. The only time I can use, I will need 3 kilograms of zinc to repeat that process 5 times. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually repeat this process 4 times. So we're going to use 12 kilogram of zinc. Okay, all we're going to use of entire zinc. Okay, we multiply that by 4. And we have to use 4 times the amount of the copper here as well, which is 28 kilogram. And so 28 add 12, that gives you 40 kilogram of brass. Okay, so that's all we needed to do for that 3 mark question. Okay, so we can make 40 kilograms of brass. Question 8. Eve drove 180 miles from Cardiff to Leeds. She drove 125 miles, 50 miles per hour, then the remaining distance at 60 miles per hour. Find out the total time that Eve was driving. Okay, so just work through it. Okay, we got the miles per hour. So that's our distance formula. Okay, sorry. Miles per hour is the speed. So speed comes from miles, which is distance, divide by time per hour. Per hour mean this. Okay, hours are time. So miles are distance, hours are time. So speed comes from distance divided by time. Okay. So if I wanted to look at formula for time, then all I'm doing is multiply both sides by time. And that cancels out the time. So we're saying distance is time times speed. Now if I wanted to work out what time is equal to, make t the subjects, I need to divide both sides by speed. So I get distance divided by speed, that's equal to time. Okay, and remember it's important to rearrange the formula, especially if you're doing the higher tier. So we know the formula is going to be time equal to distance divided by speed. Okay, so we're going to write that down. Time is equal to distance divided by speed. So we got the distance is 180 miles. Sorry, See, first drives 125 miles at 50 miles per hour. So the distance is 125 and the time speed is 50 miles per hour. So what we're doing is 125 divided by 50. So I can go off in 50s, 50, 100. So only 2. And then you got the 25 miles left over, which is half of 50. So you'll take another 30 minutes, so 2 hours and 30 minutes. And that will get you at least 2 marks there, okay? And then the remaining distance you travel at 60 miles per hour. So if we take away 125 from 180, that's 55 miles. And then again, we're doing the same thing. So the time is equal to 55 miles divided by 60 miles per hour. Now, that's 60 miles per hour. That means you're traveling 60 miles in 1 hour. That gives you 1 mile in 1 minute. That's really important to understand. 60 miles in 1 hour. So there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So you can do 1 mile in 1 minute. So if you're doing 55 miles, that will take you 55 minutes. Okay. It will give you 55 over 60 is a fraction, because you can't really saying how many 60 goes into 55. If you can't tell the whole number is going to be 65 over 50. Okay, sorry, 55 over 60. To convert that hour into minutes, we multiply by 60, then 60 and 60 cancels out. So let's just quickly look at it. 55 over 60 hours, that's how long it will take. If I want to change hours into minutes, I need to multiply by 60. So 60 and 60 cancels out. That'll give you 55 minutes. Okay. All right, so we'll do 2 hour 30 minutes plus 55. That gives me 3 hour and 25 minutes. Okay. So again, it doesn't necessarily say you have to give your time in minutes, but you kind of looking at it and then we worked it out in minutes, so give it in minutes. Otherwise you can say 3 point something hours, but again, I haven't worked it out, so why do I need to change it? You can give your answer in hours and minutes. It doesn't really specify it. The last part there, Eve drove the whole distance at 50 miles per hour if. How would this affect her journey? So would it take more time or would it take less time? Okay, so Eve will take more time. It will take more time because it's not speeding up for the last 65 miles here. So okay, so it'll take more time to reach wherever Eve's going. So as long as you say anything along that line, it'll take more time, or it'll take longer, it'll be slower to get there, then you still get that 1 mark. Okay. Question 9. A bag has 20 green marbles and 12 yellow balls. So that I'm just going to add them up. So the bag A has 32 balls. Okay. And then bag B contains 15 greens and 9 yellow balls. So bag B has 24 balls. Okay. John says it is more likely to get that the green ball is chosen from bag A than the bag B because there are more green balls in bag A than bag B. Is he correct? So we need to decide depending on the probability. What's the probability of picking a green ball from the bag A? So the probability comes from how many green balls do we have out of the total. So we got 20 green balls, so we're doing 20 out of 32. And we simplify it, divide top and bottom both by 4. So you get 5 over 8. And again, work out the probability of picking a ball from bag B. Okay, so that's again 15 green balls from 25. So you go 15 out of 24 and divide top and bottom by 3. We get 5 over 8. So the probability of picking a green ball from both of those is exactly the same. So we're saying it's no. And I already done the work now for reasoning. Okay, so probability of picking a green from the bag A, probability of green from bag A is 5/8, and then again probability of picking a green from bag B is also 5/8, and 5/8 is equal to 5/8. So probability for picking a green from both bag is exactly the same. That's why we're saying no. So we needed to see this working out anyway. Okay, somewhere to say that's 3 marks. If you just tick yes and no or yes or no without any reason, then you're not gonna get those 3 marks. Okay, they'll still get 0 marks, even though you might tick no without any reason, then you get 0 marks. Okay, so you need to give reason if they're asking for reason. Okay, which is that. Adele works out answer to 4.1 minus root 30. She says the answer is positive. Is she correct? Yes, no. You must show working. Again, the same thing. Okay, you can't just take the answer yes and no. You must show your working out. Okay, so to show the working out, if I want the answer to be positive, I need to be dividing positive number by the positive number. Okay, if your two numbers are positive and you're dividing it, answer is going to be positive. If you divide negative number by the positive, then the answer is going to be negative. Okay, then you can say no, this is not going to be negative or positive. So just let's say if you're doing 4.1 minus the root 30, so your root 30 needs to be smaller than 4.1. If that's the case, then answer would be positive. But let's look at the root 30. How do you work out what root 30 is going to be? Okay, what's the square number before 30? It's 25. What's the square root of 25? It's 5. So do you think the root 30 is going to be smaller than 5? No. So we can say root 30 is going to be bigger than 5. Therefore, 4.1 minus root 30 is going to be less than 0. Whatever the answer is going to be less than 0. That means it's going to be negative. And if the top number is negative and you're dividing by 19.23, the answer is going to be negative. Okay, negative divided by positive will give you negative. So this is what the main things we need to be able to say, okay, to get those 2 marks. So the answer obviously going to be negative. Then you can say tick no. Make sure you don't forget to tick that by showing the working out there. It says the answer is positive. Is it correct? No. The answer is going to be negative because negative divided by positive is negative. Question 11. House prices rise at the rate of 10% each year. In the January 2020, Greta bought a house for 200,000. What is the value of house in January 2022? Okay. So we got 2 years to run. So okay, I'm gonna lay out. So we're gonna work out the value in 2020, which is 200,000. Then you add 10%. So work out 10% of 200,000. 10% of 200,000 in 20,000. So we're gonna add 20,000. That's pretty straightforward. You're losing a 0. Divide by 10 and you get 10%. So in 2021, our value is £220,000. Okay. Now again, we're going to add 10%. So 10% of 220,000 again is going to be 22,000. So we add 22,000. Because you're just losing a 1 0 there. Divide by 10, so you lose 0, you get 22,000. So value of the house in 2022 is going to be, I'm going to process that because we're not using the equal sign all the way through. Okay, so 220,000 plus the 22,000 gives you 242,000 pounds. That's it. Okay. Again, if not sure, try to work out the 10%. Okay, or go back to the percentages chapter and learn how to work out 10% or any percentage of an amount. Sarah has a circular piece of card with the diameter 10 centimeter. She wants to cut a rectangle whose sides are length 8 by 6 centimeters. So he wants to cut that rectangle from the circle here. Okay, and the key thing is it does tell you Pythagoras theorem to show that he can cut the rectangle out from the circular card. So we're saying, okay, how do we cut rectangle? If you're trying to put a rectangle straight here, you can, because that diameter is going to go there basically. But let's just use this diameter and say if I draw the triangle or rectangle there like this, then you go is 6 by 8 and that's 10 and you get the right angle there. So it's a right angle triangle there. Okay, So as long as this corner to corner basically is 10 or less than 10, then you should be able to cut out the rectangle from here. Okay, so if you're using Pythagoras theorem here, the Pythagoras theorem states this: two smaller side a squared plus b squared. If you square these two smaller sides, okay, and that should give you c squared. That should give you square of this number here. Okay, let's say if you need to be, that number has to be smaller or equal to 10. Okay, so a is 6, so we're going to do 6 squared plus 8 squared. 6 squared now is 36 and 8 squared is 64. Okay, that's equal to c squared. So 636 and 64, that is equal to 100. So c 100 is c squared, so c, we square root both sides and we get c is equal to 10. So we can actually cut that piece out and it would be exactly on the dot. You can cut it out like that. Okay, you go 6 by 8 rectangle cut out from the, because that's diagonal there is going to be 10. Question 13. Which of these value cannot be the side of an angle? Cannot be the sine of an angle. Okay, circle your answer. So which cannot be, which of these values cannot be sine of an angle? Circle your answer. So the sine and cos always alternate between -1 and 1. If I wanted to draw the graph of sine graph, this is what sine graph will look like. And so on. It just continue, these way will continue go. So that's maximum point there is going to be 1, and that minimum point there is going to be -1. Okay, so we're saying which of these cannot be. So 4, it doesn't go above 1 and doesn't go below -1. So the 4 is the one that doesn't belongs to sine of an angle. Okay. Question 14, work out the value of a and b. So we know some a lots of x and b there, okay, which is b is a number, constant number, okay, and we still got this multiplications to do. And so what we're gonna first do is multiply these brackets out. This is for my question that will get you 2 marks there. Okay, so we multiply out the brackets. Again, I prefer that people start using a grid method even when you're multiplying out the brackets. It makes it easier for them to work with it. Okay, so we go 5x plus 2, so you're gonna split that. And then x minus 3, we're going to split that as well. So we need to work out these 4 boxes. What we get in here, that will help us work out the rest. Okay, so x times 5x, that gives you 5x squared. And then we go x times positive 2, that's positive 2x. Negative 3 times 5x gives you negative 15x. And negative 3 times positive 2 gives you negative 6. So we can collect the x's together. What we get is 5x squared minus 13x and minus 6. Okay, we also got ax and b, so plus ax plus b. Okay, which should be identical. 3 equal sign means identity. It should be exactly same as 5x squared. So 5x squared and 5x squared, they're the same. Okay, so we don't really need those. Then you got the minus 13x. There's x value there, and the ax, positive ax, that should give you negative 16x. So these two should give you negative 16x. So if I want to write it separately, negative 13x plus ax should give you negative 16x. So a has to be negative 3 to get to negative 16. Or in other words, you can say, okay, we're only comparing the coefficient of x's. Okay, we're comparing the coefficient of x's. So the x coefficient of x is 13. It means a number in front of the x. So that's negative 13 plus a should be equal to negative 16. So a value of a has to be negative 3. So we worked out a is, and we do the same thing for b. And b is just a number by itself. So that's 7. And on this side, the number by itself is negative 6 and b. So that should be equal to 7. So we're going to write that down here. Negative 6 plus b is equal to 7. If I wanted to work out what b is saying, negative 6 add something gives you 7. So you add 6 on both sides in a way solving equation. Okay, so that gives you b equal to 13 because this will give you 0. Okay, so b is equal to 13. So now you know that 13 take away 6 is 7. So b is 13 and a is negative 3. So whenever you have this kind of question, make sure you compare the coefficient of the like terms. So look, coefficient of x squared is 5 there. Coefficient of x squared is 5 there. Coefficient of x is minus 13 and add a. Coefficient of x on this side is negative 16. Okay, so the minus 13 add a is equal to negative 16. And the same for the constant. We got negative 6 and b. So negative 6 add b should be equal to 7. Right. Okay, so p cut off this out of this. So what does that mean? That means we need to write 1, 5, 6 as a fraction of 4 and 1, 8. Okay. What does that mean? That means it's a division. Okay. So we can actually write it down. This we need to divide it. So we're gonna have to do this. 1 and a 5, 6 divide by 4 and a 1, 8. Because even if you write here an improper fraction, we still have fraction over fraction. We won't be able to make that change very quickly. So we're going to use division for you to understand it better. And I'm going to use keep, change, flips. Not my preferable method, but at this point in your GCSEs, it might be the only method if you've not done any other method. So do this division the way you normally do. And if you not have any method, use keep, change, flip. Okay. So I'm going to first change mixed numbers into improper fractions. So how many sixths in the one whole one have? So that's 6 sixths plus that 5 sixths gives me 11 sixths. Divide by 4. How many eighths does 4 have? So every one has 8 eighths. So 4 will have 8 times 4, which is 32 eighths. 32 eighths will give you 4. Okay, plus that 1 eighth. So we have 33 eighths. Now if you're going to do keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep the first one, change division to multiplication, and the flip the second fraction. Okay, so keep, change, flip. Now we can, when you're multiplying fraction, you can actually cancel off some of the numbers diagonally as well, because it's going to end up multiplying anyway, 8 times 11 or 11 times 8. So if anything that goes into 33, which 11 does, 11 goes into 33 one times, and the 11 goes into 33 3 times. Okay. Then the 2 goes into 8 and 6. So 2 goes into 8 4 times, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. So now we can multiply this smaller number, which is a lot easier, a lot simpler. Okay, 1 times 4 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. So we should have got 4 ninths. And you write 1 and 5 sixths as a fraction of 4 and 1 eighth is going to be 4 ninths. Okay. Give your answer as a decimal. We've been specifically asked to give our answer as a decimal. Okay, so make sure you keep that in mind. First, find out cube root of 27. So we're going to write that down. Cube root of 27 is 3. Why? Because 3 times 3 times 3, that will give you 27. So when you cube root it, you do the opposite of 3 cubed, okay, which is 3. And we're multiplying by 2 to the power minus 2. 2 to the power minus 2 is 1 over positive 2 squared. Okay, so that will give you 1 over 4. Again, if anyone's not sure about this, just have a look at quick explanation. 2 squared is 4. Then I'm going to reduce the power. So you're going to go 2 to the power 1. That would be 2. And then you reduce the power. So you get 2 to the power 0. So again, look at the pattern. We've gone from 2 to the power 2, then 2 to the power 1, then 2 to the power 0. And what's happening here? We're dividing it by 2 every time. Okay, so that's 2 divided by 2. That gives you 1. Anything to the power 0 is 1. Now what's the next power going to be for the 2? It's 2, 1, 0. Then that's going to be negative 1. So I need to divide that 1 by 2 again. That gives you 1 over 2. 1 divided by 2. So 2 to the power negative 1 is 1 over 2. So 2 to the power negative 2 Look, 2 to the power 1 is 2. So 1 over 2 to the power 1. So this divide half by 2, you'll get 1/4. And that's the 2 to the power 2 is 4. So 2 to the power negative 2 is reciprocal of 4, which is 1 over 4. And that's how we get that. Okay. So once you got that, we need to multiply them. We're multiplying that with that. So we're doing 3 times the 1/4. And 3 times 1/4 is 3/4. And 3/4 as a decimal is 0.75. And again, if you're not sure how to get to 0.5, we gotta do 3/4, which is 3 divided by 4. How many 4 goes into 3? 0 with 3 left over. So what you do is introduce decimal, because you need to be working with 0. Remember, 3.0 is exactly same as 3. So we're not actually changing anything here, okay? We're just adding that extra 0, saying we got 3 units, 0 tenths, 0 hundredths, 0 thousand, and so on. How many 4 goes into 30? So you need to know your times table. 7 times 4 is 28. So we can say 7 and 2 left over. So again, we don't have anything to work with. You can add extra 0. We already put the decimals anyway. How many 4 goes into 20? 5. And there's no remainder. So that's our answer, 0.75. Okay, so that's where we get that, 0.75. Question 17. In a game, a fair spinner has 3 sections, red, blue, and yellow. Joe uses this method to work out the probability of getting a red and the blue from 2 spin. He writes there are 3 colors, so probability of spinner landing on red is 1/3 and probability of landing on blue is 1/3. So probability is going to be 1/9. Make 2 criticism of Joe's method. Okay. So that's what we need to look at. So 2 criticism of his method. Just because there are 3 sections, that doesn't mean the probability of landing on each one of those going to be 1/3. Okay. So that's one of the criticisms. Second criticism, just because you need to work out what's the probability of blue and the red going to be all together, you don't need to multiply it. If you're doing it twice, 2 times, then the probability of landing on either one of those is going to be 1/9 when you're multiplying it in the 2 things happening in a row. Basically, that's going to be 1/9, even if the probability of red is 1/3 and the probability of blue is 1/3. So probability of his landing on red and then blue would be 1/9. Okay, if you did it twice. So that's not what we're looking for here. Right, okay, so we need to write down what. So first thing I would write down is the probability. First of all, let's say just, okay, probability of red is a 90-degree angle there. So we know the probability of red is not 1/3. So you can write down probability of red is not 1/3, or probability of red is actually 1/4. Okay, that's the first criticism you can make. Okay, and one of those will get you mark. Okay, and the second criticism is, because you're doing it from the 2 spins and it doesn't matter which way it lands. Okay, so we need, even if let's say the probability that he came up with is 1/9 and from the 2 spins, then we got 2 different ways. You could get blue first and then red, or you can get red first and then blue. So you need to multiply that 1/9 by 2 if that's what the actual answer is, but it's not. So there are 2 choices. So you can have a blue and a red, or red and a blue. So he needed to multiply it by 2. Okay, and that's what the second criticism is. Whatever the answer is, you got 1/9. If we get 1/9 actual answer, we still need to multiply by 2. So we should get 2 9s, because there's a 2 different way you can get 1 blue and 1 red. Okay. Right, the probability of getting 2 yellows from 2 spins is 25 out of 81. Okay, so if we're saying, okay, probability of getting 2 yellows, so 2 yellows here is 25 out of 81. So the probability of yellow from the first spin multiplied by the probability of yellow from the second spin, which is exactly the same, should give you 25 out of 81. So the two number that's exactly the same multiplied together gives you 25 out of 81. So work out the angle of yellow sector. Okay, so first we need to work out the probability of yellow. So they both 25 and 81 are square numbers. So we can say probability of yellow is 5/8. When you square root 25 over 81, because the same number multiplied by itself, so probability of yellow squared is 25 over 81. So the probability of yellow, okay, probability of yellow is that square root of 25 over 81, which is 5 over, sorry, it's 9, 5 over 9. Square root of 81 is 9. My bad. So probability of yellow is 5/9. Okay, so we need to look at it. Probability of yellow is 5/9. So if you cut the entire things 360 into 9 equal parts, there are 360 degrees, and if you cut that into 9 equal parts and you're having 5/9 of that, that's the area is going to be, the angle is going to be 5/9 of the entire circle. So we need 5/9 of 360. So 360 divided by 9, okay, that gives you 40. So when you're doing multiplication, was the multiplication earlier, 360 divided by 1 multiplied by 5/9, okay? So we can say 360 multiplied by 5 divided by 9. So 360 divided by 9 is 40 degree multiplied by 5, which is 200, okay? So the angle of the yellow sector would be 200 degrees. And that's all we had to do. So work out this part here and then work out the angle of the yellow sector afterward. Question 18. Nahi. Show that 4x plus 3. So those fractions simplifies to that. So we're adding fractions basically. This is nothing more difficult than adding fractions, okay? So what's the first thing we need to do when you're adding fractions? We need to make sure that S has the same denominator, means everything has to be cut into equal parts in a way. So the lowest common multiple of 3 and 4 is 12. Okay, this is where those people who tell you quick hacks to add fractions, and this is one that people would struggle if you do. The only way they knew that add the fraction is through those hacks. This is where they struggle. Okay, so we got the common denominator is 12. So what did we do to multiply, or what did we multiply 3 by to get to 12? So we're multiplying it by 4. So we multiplied the top, which is the entire thing, by 4. Okay, so at the top here we would get 4 times 4x, which is 16x, and 4 times 3, which is 12. Okay, and then we're going multiplying this by 3. So 4 times 3 is 12, and then multiply this by 3 as well. So 3 times 2x is 6x, and 3 times -5 is -15. So when you want to add the numerators together, we can collect the x together. So 16x plus 6x, because that's positive there. Okay, so adding them, 16x and add positive 6x, which gives you 22x. Then the 12 add -15 will give you -3 over 12. And that's it. That's all we needed to do. Question 19. The circle has an equation x squared plus y squared equal to 100. Work out the length of its radius. Okay, so the equation of the circle is always this. Okay, x minus a all squared plus y minus b all squared, which is equal to r squared, where a b is a coordinate of center and r square is the radius. So it's, we all don't have to worry about the coordinates, because x minus 0 and y minus 0 will give you x square and y square. So the center is 0, 0, and the r square, so radius square, that's what we're looking for anyway. So r square is equal to 100. So radius square is equal to 100. So the radius has to be 10. That's it. But that comes from this equation. Okay, that's the equation of the circle. The area in centimeter square of this triangle is 20 centimeter square. Okay, so we can say half AB sine C is equal to 20 centimeter square. This triangle is not right angle. It doesn't tell you. It might be right angle, but doesn't tell you. We don't know the height of the triangle. Because if the base is 10, then the height would be there. That makes 90 degrees to the 10. Or if base is 8, the height would be this. So none of those is known. So we know we need to use sine or cosine rule. So when you use sine rule, this is one of the things that you can do to find the area of a triangle. Okay. So find the value of x. So what is that angle x? So we know majority of the things. The angle x is that C, angle C. Okay. Sorry, you can't see that. This part here. And that's what we need to work out. So let's see, what would sine C going to be then? Okay, but this is not calculator paper. How would you know that? Oh, sorry. Work out the value of sine x. Okay, see, I didn't read the questions carefully. So always read the questions carefully. I thought if we don't using calculator, how do we work out sine C? That's what we're trying to do. Okay, so let's say what we got here. We're gonna write it down, A and B. So when you have these kind of triangle, you need to label it properly. Okay, so if we're saying this angle is C, then this side is small c. Okay, that's going to be A and that's going to be B. It doesn't matter which one. So that means this is angle A and that is angle B. And again, these are not important. We're only interested in this. And this formula, we go small a, small b, so small a and small b. So half times a, which is 8, times b, which is 10, and then sine x, because that's the angle x there. It should gives you 20 centimeters square. Okay. So 10 times 8 times half, what do we get? 10 times 8 is 80, times half is 40. So 40 times sine x is equal to 20. So what does sine x has to be? 40 times what gives you 20? 40 times half gives you 20. Okay, the sine x has to be half. See, it's only 1 mark here, because even though you had to do all that. Tricky question then. Express 0.36 as a fraction in its simplest form. So if you're writing fraction in its simplest form, okay, and there's a 6 that's a reoccurring. Generally, when you're looking at this, we need to be able to write down using algebra. Okay, when you're finding, if there was no reoccurrence, then it would have been straightforward. So what we do is say we call x equal to 0.36 reoccurring. Then if I multiply it by 10, so 10x, I mean everything is multiplied by 10. So that's multiplied by 10. This is going to be multiplied by 10. So that decimal moves 1 place forward, or the entire thing's 1 place to the left. So we get 3.6 reoccurring. Okay. So now I need to be able to work out what 36.6 reoccurring as well. So I need to be able to get rid of something. Okay. And that's what the most important part is. We can use this and work with it, but I'd rather use 100x and then work with that. Okay, so I'm going to say 100x as well. So what would the 100x going to be? 100x going to be 36.6 reoccurring. Okay, because remember there's dot on top of the 6, it means there's unlimited supply of 6s. Okay, so it's 3, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. That's what that dot on top means. So when I multiply by 100, that means this thing's multiplied by 100. You're moving 1 and 2 places that way. So you got 36.6 reoccurring. Okay. So now if I do 100x, so this, take away the last one, which is take away 10x. So I'm doing this, take away that. So 100x is 36.6. Take away 3.6 reoccurring. So the 100x take away 10x, that'll give you 90x. And 36.6 take away 3.6 reoccurring. So reoccurrence will get cancelled, deleted in a way, because if you point 36666 reoccurring, so all I had to do is 36 take away 36 take away 3, which is 33. So I know 90x is same as 33. So what's x going to be? Divide both sides by 90. So we get x is equal to 33 over 90. And that's our answer, 33 over 90. You can simplify it in its simplest form. So make sure you simplify it. And divide both sides by 3, you get 11 over 30. 11 is a prime number and it doesn't go into 30. So we know we got our answer as 11 over 30. Okay. So it does say write it in its simplest form. So if I just left it at 33 over 90, I would have got only 2 marks. I would have lost 1 mark. This Venn diagram here telling you what 75 students in total. That sigma means everything inside the rectangle that's been represented by sigma. Okay, so the everything inside the rectangle is 75. So when I add this number here, this number here, and this number here, they should add up to 75. That's one of the key things. V stand for student that plays violin. So everyone in this circle should be able to play violin. Okay, in this circle, these 2 points here that should be playing violin, and P is the piano. So on these 2 circles, that's the people who plays piano. So in this middle, basically, those people plays both violin and the piano. That's important. Okay. Now we read the last part of the question. 54 students play only violin or only piano. So when I do these 2 boxes here, a 54 student plays only violin or only piano. So those 2 should add up to 54. Only violin and only piano. Now in the middle, 5/6 of the 54 student plays only violin. Okay, 5/6 of 54. So we need to multiply 54 by 5/6. So divide 54 by 6 and then multiply by 5. Okay, I'm gonna use a bust-up method quickly. 54 divided by 6. How many 6 goes into 5? None. So it goes 54. So you need to know your times table here. Okay, if you don't know your times table, you would be stuck in this kind of loop. Okay, so oh god, so 54 divided by 6 is 9. Okay, so 9 times 5, that gives you 45. So 45 people plays only violin. So we got this one here. This is a pretty tough for 1 mark here. Okay, so 45 there. And the number of students that plays violin is 4 times the number of students that plays piano. Complete the Venn diagram. Okay, so the number of the student that plays violin is 4 times the number of students that plays piano. Okay, so what we know now already is the number for the piano anyway, because we said 54 student plays only violin or only piano. So what we're doing is 54. I'll do here 54 take away 45. That gives me 9. Okay, so 9 student plays only piano. Okay, now we're gonna look at this last statement here. Okay, so number of students that plays violin is 4 times the number of students that plays piano. So this number here, we can call it x right now. Okay, so 9 plus x, I'm trying to do it here. Let's say 9 plus x multiplied by 4, because that's it's 4 times the people who plays piano. Okay, so violin is 9 times x, that's the number of people who plays piano, and the violin would be 4 times 9 times x. Okay, 9 plus x. So the violin would be 45 plus x. So 45 plus x should be 4 times 9x. Okay, that's what we're gonna have to solve this equation to work out what x is. Okay, So we're doing expand the brackets, we get 36 plus 4x. So 36 plus 4x should be equal to 45 plus x. And you have x's on the both sides, we can solve that equation easily. Okay, sorry, I'll lean back so if you didn't hear my voice that clearly here. Okay, so take away x from both sides. So we're saying 36 plus so 36 plus x, 36 plus 3x should be equal to 45. Now if I want to work out what 3x should be, we take away 36 from both sides. Okay, so that gives you 45 take away 36, which gives you 9. So 3x is going to be equal to 9. And then the x would be divide both sides by 3. So x is equal to 3. Now just check that, okay? If x is 3, this violin circle would be 48. And if x is 3 again, the piano circle would be 12. 12 times 4 is 48. So that satisfies this equation anyway. 12 times 4 is 48. So when x is 3. So we know this number here is going to be 3. So now remember the last part I said, they all should add up to 75, okay? So what we got is 57 here. 45 plus 9 is 54. 54 add 3 is 57. So we take away 57 from here to work out this missing number out, who doesn't play any, like me, violin, neither violin nor piano, okay? So take away 57 from it, and we carry one forward, so we get 8, left with 6, okay? And 6 take away 1 is 18. So the 18 people will play nothing. These 18 people, like me, doesn't have any instrument knowledge. So that's 5 marks. There's a lot of work for the 5 mark questions. And again, this is a higher tier. So we're looking at grade 7, grade 8 questions here, okay, by this point. Okay, grade 8 mainly. Question 23. Laura buys a bike and the safety helmet from the Wigan bike store. Prices displayed do not include VAT, which is charged at 20%. Laura works out that she will need to pay 600 for both items when VAT is added, but she will pay less than this because VAT is not charged for the helmet. He paid £528 for the bike. Work out the saving by not paying VAT on the helmet. Give your answer as a percentage of the amount Laura thought she had to pay. Give your answer as a percentage of the amount Laura thought she had to pay. So whenever we get to the answer, we need to give it as out of 600. Okay, work out the savings by not paying VAT on the helmets. And she paid bike £528. So for bike is 500 for the bike is 528 pounds. Okay, and that's including VAT. So what do we need to do? Okay, so we need to saying, okay, that's including VAT. So whatever the price was plus the 20%. So this is 120%. So 528 is actually 120%. So what do we need to do? Work out what 100% is. So divide it by 120. That'll get you 1%. Divide this by 120. That'll give you what 1% is equal to. So when you divide that by 120, you'll get 1%. 528 divided by 120. Okay. So I can do the bust up method. Go like this. Okay. 12 into 52.8. I mean 12 goes into 52, so 12, 24, 48. 4. That'll leave me with 4. And then we go through the decimals, so 0.4. So 1% is 4.4. So the 100% is then multiplied by 100. So multiply 4.4 by 100, we get 440 pound. Okay, and that's what we get first mark for, 440 pound for the bike, and then plus the VAT gives you 528. Okay, now the Laura thought C had to pay VAT, and she had to pay 600 in total. Okay, but we only paid VAT on that, so we need saying the Laura thought the helmet with the VAT will cost her 28 plus 2, so 30 plus 70. So Laura thought she had to pay 72 pound with the VAT. Okay, so 120% again, which is 72 pound. So so we can work out the 100%. So divided by 120 gives you 1%. So when I divide that by 10, you get 0.6 pound. Okay, so 1% is 0.6. So the 100% would be 60. So we know that Laura had to pay 60 pound for the helmet. Okay, so she saved 12 pound in a way. Okay, because she didn't have to pay VAT. So we need to write down 12 pound as the amount that she thought she had to pay. Okay, and we need to write that down as a percentage of the amount that she thought she had to pay. So 12 out of, to be honest, we didn't really have to work this out. We can just deal with it without doing that. Okay. So 12 over 600, and we need to work out that as a percentage. Okay. So 12 out of 600 multiplied by 100. Okay, so that's the percentage. So 12 as a fraction, 12 over 600 multiplied by 100. So we get 100 and 100 cancels out. So we left with 12 over 6, which is just 2. So it's 2%. So C has saved 2% on the amount of something she thought she had to pay. Okay, there's a lot of work for 2%. Okay, again, let's go through this entire questions again, so make sure that you get that's perfectly fine or correct. Okay, so Laura buys a bike for safety helmets from the bike store. She displayed do not include the 20% VAT, and she works out she had to pay 600 pound. And when VAT is added, but she doesn't pay VAT on the helmet, and so when she knows she paid 528 pound for the bike, so that means she would have paid 72 pound for the helmet, okay, including the VAT. So we work out the 72 pound without VAT would be 60 pound without VAT plus 12 pound. So she saved 12 pound, and we need to give our answer as a percentage of the amount Laura thought she had to pay. So 12 pound out of 600, and then we need to write it as a percentage. So I'm saying 12 out of 600 as a fraction, multiply by 100 to change into percentage. So that turns out to be 2%. Okay, so I just needed to do that part here. Basically, all I had to do is for 600 take away 528. I didn't have to do this. Okay, and that would have given me 72 pound, which is Laura thought she had to pay VAT, so that's 120%, and we need to work backward to work out what 100% is. Okay, again, we can do that. 72 divided by 12. Okay, sorry, 120. So you can divide by 10 first. That gives you 7.2, and then 7.2 divided by 12 gives you 0.6. Okay, Question 24. So the sequence of a number is formed by an iterative process. Okay, so we're looking at n. an plus 1 is equal to an to the power 2. Take away an. Okay. Describe the sequence of the numbers when a1 is equal to 1. Okay. So if we know a1 is equal to 1, show your answer, show your working to simplify your answer. Describe the sequence. So what's the a2 going to be? Okay, what's the a2? n plus 1. Okay, so a1 plus 1, that's a2. So we're doing the 1 square minus 1, which is 0. The next sequence, next number is 0, basically, in the sequence. So we need to look at it. Okay, what's the a3 going to be? So a3 is the next term. So one term before that is 0. So we're doing 0 square minus 0, which is 0 as well. So the sequence starts with 1 and then it stops at 0. So the iterative process. So we already find the answer. When you put answer 1, basically get in the one step, it goes to 0 and it stays at 0. Doesn't do anything from that point. Okay, we just worked out the two different values for question 24a. Okay. So after 1 is all 0, something along that line. Okay, so anything so after 1 is all zeros. Okay. Describe the sequence with the number when a1 is equal to negative 1. So again, we do the same thing. a2 is going to be a1 squared, which is negative 1 squared. Take away negative 1. Okay. So negative 1 squared is 1. Take away negative 1 is add 1. And that'll give you 2. So a2 becomes 2. a3 would be 2 squared minus 2, which gives you 4, and then it's 2's. So if it's 2, and then it stuck on 2. So after negative 1, it's all 2's. Okay, that's it. And then work out the value of a2 when a1 is 1 minus root 2. Okay, so a2 would be a1 squared. So 1 minus root 2 all squared minus 1 minus root 2. I'm going to use the brackets around that as well because there's a negative and the negative outside. Okay, so we need to first do the square of this. Okay, 1 minus negative root 2 squared. I'm going to try and do this empty space here to work that out. Okay, so we're going to do the 1 minus root 2 multiplied by 1 minus root 2. Okay, we're going to do this grid method again. 1 times 1 is 1. That's negative root 2. And then negative root 2. So 2 lots of negative root 2. And the negative root 2 times negative root 2 is positive 2. Okay, it's 2 negatives gives you positive answer. So we get 3 minus 2 lots of root 2. Okay, so that's when you get this one here. So 3 minus 2 lots of root 2. Now taking away 1 and then taking away negative root 2, so it's add root 2. Okay, so take away negative root 2 is add root 2. So what we left with now is 3 take away 1, which is 2, and 2 root 2 take away, sorry, 2 negative 2 root 2 add root 2 gives you negative root 2. Sorry. So 2 take away root 2. That's the answer we should get for the last part here. Okay. Again, this is slightly bit confusing at this point now. So if you're not getting this, and don't worry too much, just look at the surds and the iterative process, revise those. Okay, I'm going to be uploading the videos on that, but probably have to wait a little while. Okay. On question 25, we need to write it. So b is a prime number, so it doesn't simplify any further, and into a root 4. So we need to simplify these surds basically. Okay, so we need to be able to add them in somehow, and write it in that form. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to simplify this. So if you're simplifying this, so what we can say is 10 root 2. What you call is a rationalizing denominator, basically. That's what simplify means. Okay, so if I have 10 over root 2, if I multiply top and bottom by root 2 over root 2. Remember, root 2 over root 2 is just 1. Something over something is just 1. Same thing. Okay, so like 5 divided by 5 is 1, 2 divided by 2 is 1, 3 divided by 3 is 1. So root 2 divided by root 2 is 1. So we're not changing anything in a way if we divide top and bottom by root 2. Okay, and we get 10 root 2, and root 2 times root 2 is actually 2. Root 2 square, which is 2. Okay, so 10 divided by 2, which gives you 5. So we get 5 root 2 from 10 over root 2. That's what we get here. So we have 5 root 2, and we can simplify root 18 now. Okay, so root 18 would be, you're trying to look for the square number that goes into 18. So we can write that as a square number, which is 9 times root 2. Okay. Square root of 9 is 3. And then root 2. Square root of 9 is 3. 3 times root 2, which is 3 root 2. So what we're doing, we're actually adding these numbers. Why? Because that's what's happening here. 10 over root 2, which is 5 root 2. Plus root 18, which is 3 root 2. So we have 5 root 2 plus 3 root 2. That gives you 8 root 2. And it's saying b is a prime number. So b is inside the root 2, square root. And 2 is actually prime number. Okay, that's just testing you for your knowledge about the prime number. So we got 8 is a, and the b is root 2. Sorry, just 2. Right, okay. Yes, it's working. I can do that afterward. All right. So 2x minus equal to y plus 5. Okay. So we got 2x equal to y plus 5. If I wanted to change, this is one linear and one quadratic. So when you're solving one linear and one quadratic at a simultaneous equations, okay, using simultaneous equations, we generally use solving equation using substitution method. Okay, so when you're substituting it, you need to rearrange it for one of the letter. So if you make y equal to something, it's a lot easier, because if I take away 5 from both sides, okay, so we get 2x minus 5, which is equal to y. So it's a lot easier to work with that. 2x minus 5 equal to y, compared to x is equal to y plus 5 divided by 2. Okay. So once you get y value, you use that y value and substitute in here. Okay. Over there, what we got is this: x squared minus 2 times 2x minus 5, okay, which is equal to 31. I can take the 31 across by taking away 31 from both sides. So I get x squared, the negative 2 times 2x, which is negative 4x. And then the negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. And then I can take away 31 from both sides. So I'll have that negative 31 there as well. Okay, because that's taking away 31, and that will give you 0. Okay. So now I can add them two together. So I get x squared minus 4x, positive 10, and negative 31 gives you negative 21, which is equal to 0. Now, this is one of the reasons why you have 2 x values and 2 y values. When you solve a quadratic equation, so you always get 2 answers. There's a times when it's a repeated root, so it's the same number that's appearing twice. That's why it's called repeated root. And then you can get one answer, but there's always 2 answers. So we got to work out those 2 answers. What value of x that gives you x squared minus 4x minus 21 equal to 0. So we need to use factorization method. So we're saying, okay, 2 numbers multiply to get you 21. And it's a negative 21, I'm sorry. I'll cross that off. So 2 numbers multiplied to gives you negative 21. And the same 2 numbers multiplied together to, add together to gives you minus 4. So we need to work with the factors of 21. So 1 and 21 won't give you 4. 3 goes into 7 times 3, and 7 will give you 4, to be honest. So we need to get the negative 4. So 7 has to be negative to get 7 minus 7, add 3. When you multiply it, that still gives you negative 21. So minus 7 and positive 4. When negative 21, negative 3, not 4. So that's negative 21, and the minus 7, add 3 gives you negative 4. So those are the two brackets we get. X, take away 7, multiply by x, add 3, should be equal to 0. Okay. So we can get x minus 3 equal to, x minus 7 equal to 0. So that means x is equal to 7, or x is equal to negative 3. Okay, I'll go through that part some other time. So when only time you get two things multiplied to be able to 0 is when one of the number is 0. So when something take away 7 is 0. So when x is 7, so 7 take away 7 is 0. And that 0 multiplied by x plus 3 will always give you 0. And negative 3 add 3 gives you 0. So if that is 0, x is negative 3, then that becomes 0. And 0 times x minus 7 will give you 0 as well. So they got two answers, x equal to 7 and x equal to negative 3. So we can use that and sub it back into our formula here. Y is equal to 2x minus 5. So when you put x equal to 7 in there, so you get y value is equal to 2 times 7 minus 5. 2 times 7 is 14 minus 5, which is 9. So when x is 7, y is 9. Okay. And if you substitute x equal to negative 3 in here, so you get y equal to 2 times negative 3 minus 5, which is negative 11. So those are the 4 answers we get, okay, for question 26. Last one, question 27. A, B, C, D are the points on the circle. Center O, AC is the diameter of the circle. Okay. AT is a tangent to the circle. Work out the size of angle X and the size of angle Y. Okay. Now, what we got is a circle, a tangent. So there's a few circle theorems that you need to be able to spot here. Okay. So the first circle theorem I will be looking at is angle subtended by the same arc or same chord is going to be equal. Okay. So that's the first thing I'm going to be looking at. Okay. Angle subtended by the same arc or same chord is going to be equal. So if I look at the angle subtended from the A to B chord or arc, there's going to be equal. So that 36 is done. So D, ADB and then ACB. So this two angles going to be same. 36 and 36. Those two angles are same. 36 and 36. Okay. Also, I can work out the X because that line here, A to C, is a diameter. That means second theorem about the circle theorem, the angles in the semicircle is always going to be 90 degrees. Okay. So this angle here, when you're looking at the triangle ABC, so AC is a diameter, so the triangle angle ABC is going to be 90 degrees. So we got three angles in a triangle here. Okay, so this X, 90 degree and 36. So size of the X is going to be what? Oh, come on. 180 take away 90 take away 36. So the angle X is going to be 54 degrees. Okay. So we know that's going to be 54 degrees. And that probably help us work out the other ones, okay, anyway. Because now what you got is this triangle here, okay. The big triangle. Y, or just look at this triangle ABC here, okay. Triangle ABC. So we know this angle here is going to be 36. Okay. And that angle, entire angle is going to be 50, that's 54. This entire thing is going to be 90. So as soon as we work out the other side, we can work out as soon as we work out this angle, we can work out what Y is going to be, because this entire thing is going to be 90. This angle in a triangle is, of course, what's the name for that theorem? Okay. So there's that triangle angle here will go there. That angle will go there, basically. So angle, a triangle, and the tangent. That's the theorem. One of the theorem is called that. Okay. So that's what we need to be looking at here. So because of that's 95 and these two lines are straight, we know this is going to be 95 degree as well. Okay. So if that's 95, that's 36, then this one's going to be 49. And we know this is going to be 90 degree angle. Okay. Because the angle, the radius and the tangent makes 90 degree angle. So this is going to be 49. Okay, so the y is going to be 90, take away 49. And that's what our final answer is going to be, which is 41 degrees. So y is 41 degrees and x is 54. So we did actually 3 different circle theorems. Angle subtended from A and the B are equal. So we get angle subtended there from AB, that's 36, and that's angle subtended by A and B, that's 36. I'm going to cross up all the ink so you can actually see it. Okay. And then once you've done that, we can use this small triangle here. Okay. This small triangle here, we know these are the opposite angle here, 95, and that's 95. So that has to be 49. And then the angle here, that's 90 degree. Radius and tangents always make 90 degree angle. That's another one. So if you know that's 49, that's going to be 90 degrees. So you do 90, take away 49, that gives you y to be 41. That's another one. Okay. And that's about it. So if you like this video, please like it on there. Okay, like it, because it will send it onto the other people's feed. Okay, so YouTube use these algorithms, the most like video will go up onto the different people's feed. And again, if you find it useful and if you know someone else who probably benefit from it, then send it to them. So share it with other people in your year group. Okay, they find this video useful and they probably get the grade they want. Might not get 8 or 9, but if that helps them pass or get grade 5 or 6 or 7, then it'll be useful. It's still got time, so we've got enough time to prepare it together. So share and subscribe it, because I do want to monetize this channel. Okay, subscribe it and like the videos. And once I monetize it, I will buy better equipment so I don't mess up as much as I'm doing right now. Okay, thank you. I'll see you in the next video.